All right, everyone. So, welcome to February's content. This is Gene here, continuing from January. And as usual, we're going through our four different pairs, which is DXY, your pound, your dollar, and pound US dollar. So, what I've actually done is I've marked up this DXY, also Euro pound, before starting this recording. I'm going to show you what I simply did to analyze the market this way so that way we can get a concept of what we're looking for going into February. So first off, I started with the monthly time frame, and as if you go through the January's content, you would hear me say that there was a fair value gap here that I wanted to see the market trade to, and we could potentially see bearishness from that level, which you saw from January, very bearish month, and basically, price tapped this old low, and we saw resistance come in form of 103.41 with DXY. Okay, so what I actually failed to point out from the last call was that if you look at this clean lows here, there was a very clean level here on the monthly, and you can see how price traded through this level. So that definitely was a stop run, and if this was the last bullish candle before this move down, these definitely would be a breaker. So we are going to put a zone there. So our zone basically is from the top of the candle to the midpoint of the candle. So let's get the midpoint of the candle. Perfect. So that is the midpoint of our candle. Pause there, which is where price currently is on the monthly basis. So we could see potential upside on DXY either to the open of this bullish or this bearish order block on the monthly, or could even trade through the rejection block on the monthly and keep going higher. So it would be very interesting to see what price does. Obviously, to the downside, there's very clean levels here, but if we're on the monthly basis right now, so it would take a very long while for price to get here if price wants to go bearish. So we gotta stick with our current block of price, where price is currently, which is this level. So from there, we're going to the weekly. As we get to the weekly, begin to narrow down levels. And so what we want to do is we know that this was the last bearish candle, and that is our bullish breaker. So this is a bullish breaker where price currently is, and also so what we can do is since we have a level here, we know price once price dips into this level, we're dipping into our bullish breaker. So we can simply remove the zone right here. And so I just want to let's begin to identify our levels on a weekly basis. So on a weekly basis, we've got a old high right here, and also we've got higher high right here. All right. So and also just a very clean rejection block the weekly below. But currently, for price to reach that level, it could take a very long while. Okay, price could also reach there in a week, but what we're going to do is we are only going to consider that level as price trades through this level. So for now, what we're going to do is we want to focus on this block of price. So we've identified the monthly order block open, all right, and then if you remember, let's go down to the daily real quick. So as we get to the daily, we want to begin to identify our daily levels. And one more thing to actually point out is this is our monthly, our weekly, sorry, bearish order block. Okay, so this is the low of this weekly bearish order block candle, right? And this is the open of this bearish order block weekly candle. So we could basically do this, where we have the open of the monthly bearish order block candle and the weekly bearish order block candle to give us a nice little range pocket of price that we could expect price to reach for the upside. And if basically price trades through this level, then we could begin to consider the mean threshold of this candle. And if price disrespects or disregards that level, then we can look for the upside targets, and price could potentially keep trading higher. All right, so if you switch over to the daily time frame, uh, so you'll if you go through January's review, I mentioned that I wanted to see price trade all the way down to this level, even though we were unable to complete January's review as the video was getting too long. So what I mentioned was wanted to see price trade through into this level where our 40-day IPDA low rested, and where there will be sell side liquidity resting around that level. And currently now we've traded through this level. All right, so now the next question we're gonna ask ourselves is, where are we as regards to the range? Are we at the premium market or are we at the discount market? Because remember, the true support and resistance in the marketplace is cheapness and expensive, which is premium and discount. Okay, so now what I want you guys to take note of is, yes, this is a range low to a range high. Until price breaks out of this range low, what we're going to be referencing as our range would be this low right to this high. Once price breaks out of this range, then we're going to reference the swing low to the swing high for trade setup. But as long as price remains within this range, this is what we're going to reference. So now if price stays inside of this range, having just wicked through this level where sell side liquidity rests, okay, that will mean that we're at a very, very deep discount price point. Because this is a this is as deep as you can get in terms of discount. And if we begin to see price want to make a move from this level, that could mean price will want to get back to the midpoint of the range equilibrium. Because remember, in a range, price always wants to try to reach for equilibrium price point, which is the main threshold. So this is where equilibrium relatively rests. I can eyeball what I simply did to get equilibrium was to eyeball that level. But if you simply pull up your Fibonacci using the uh, candlesticks body, you can see where equilibrium relatively rests around the monthly order block open to the weekly order block open. Okay, bearish order block. Right. So and what I simply did here was to identify 20-day IPDA low, which is this high. Okay, so there's actually nothing to reference on a discount level with our IPDA ranges. The next thing to reference is outside of IPDA, which is this next low and this entire range where bearish candle rests. Okay, so what we have to reference in terms of our IPDA is actually the premium side, which is 20-day IPDA high, where sell buy side liquidity would rest. 40-day IPDA, which coincides with 60-day IPDA, where potential buy side liquidity would be resting. So that's our analysis for DXY. Then we'll move over to Euro Pound. All right, so on the Euro Pound right now, we're going to go over to the monthly time frame first. Euro Pound. So remember, now we've broken out of this range, and we've broken out of that range on the monthly. I mentioned this turtle soup, so we can see price inside of this range. So currently now we're in a smaller little range on the monthly basis. So remember, there's a larger range which price just broke out of, which is this range, this swing high to this swing low. Price just broke through this high, broke through this high also. And now what price is basically doing is price is trading inside a small little range on the monthly time frame. So that means what we're going to reference until we break out of this box of price. So let me quickly highlight this box of price. Until we break out of this box of price, so we're going to only reference price points inside of that range. Right, so that means we have to go to the weekly. And first off, one more thing I want to do is I want to point out that this is the midpoint of our weekly bearish order block. Sorry, our monthly bearish order block. This is our main threshold. So we can simply go down to the weekly basis. Let's actually see what price is on the weekly basis. So remember this very, very clean level, and we're expecting price to reach for an opposing premium level. Once price got to that opposing premium level, we're able to get sells from that opposing premium level and looking for discount price point to offload that sells at, which is what we've seen at this weekly bullish order block. Okay, so now currently we're at the midpoint of this range, and the next big question is: are we going to go higher? Or are we going to go lower? So the tricky thing about ranges is once you get to the equilibrium of a range, this is where you begin to take into consideration different factors as to where you think the market could go next. Because once the market is at equilibrium, it is a 50-50 call, and you have to make a smart decision what you want to see the market do next. And so price basically came to the midpoint of this weekly bearish order block. Price has respected that, and it seems like price is respecting this bullish weekly order block also. So we have to make a decision what we want to see the market do. And basically, if you go to your daily time frame, Right, so our daily time frame, we took sales from this level as just a fair value gap in that range and offloaded sales of sales side liquidity. So what I want to point out is if you look at my January's content video, you would see me identify this level as sell side liquidity, which price I traded through. So that was sell side liquidity, and price has found that level, or I would say IPD has found that level. So uh, now what I want to point out to you guys is there's a larger range on the daily, which is this range high, this range low, and there's also a small little range on the daily, which is this range low, which is range high. So we have a larger range to work within, and we also have a smaller range to work within. And so what we can simply do is we can simply pull out Fibonacci and identify the ranges. Currently, we are at premium level on the range, so we could potentially find sells inside of this range as we're at a premium level. So what we want to begin to do is we want to begin to identify premium areas where price could trade into for potential sales or potential profit taking. Okay, as we just break through this level where sales are liquidity rests, and we've moved up higher into that level. So currently there's very clean bodied candles on the daily, which is where buy side liquidity would rest. Okay, so we can simply label this by liquidity. Okay, label this by liquidity resting around that level. So let's make this smaller actually, just 10. And also, as price just left this low, label this liquidity. So we're gonna label this liquidity as potential target if we're trying to reach for the sell side. So do not need this. What I've done already is draw our IPD ranges. So this is our 20-day IPD high. You can simply just annotate that 20-day IPDA. So you don't necessarily need to write IPD high. Just 20-day IPDA, and we're good to go on that. 40-day, there's nothing to reference on the British side. Okay, well, also one more thing. This week actually has been left out on the 40-day basis. So there's still potential sell liquidity resting of that level. So we can come here and put 40-day low. As usual, if that would want to trade to reference points, 40-day IPD, if that want to trade to reference point. And obviously we've got 60-day IPD, which is this last low. There's nothing to reference on the premium side. So it's going to be up to us to make a decision of what we want to see price do. Whether we want to see price trade higher, we want to see price trade lower, as we're at the midpoint of the range, and this is where price basically gets very tricky. So Euro USD. Okay, so let's go to the monthly Euro USD. Let's see what price is actually doing. Euro USD. So now I mentioned this turtle soup January's content video, and it seems like we've gotten a very nice swing target for the upside. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing up range low to monthly range high, what we could expect long-term price to reach for. So it's also important to note to take note of this uh, monthly bearish block. Okay, so price could trade into that level, and if price fails to respect that level, then could reach for the rejection block on the monthly. But that is still a long way away, and also we should take note of this monthly bearish order block open. Okay, Euro USD, that is open. We could see price potentially reach for that level for more bullishness, or price could even potentially just keep trading all the way down to the downside. So we're going to have to take into consideration different factors. We simply shift to the weekly. Let's see what price actually shows on the weekly time frame. Right, so on the weekly time frame, let's see if we got to this level. On a weekly basis, So let me actually see if we got to this level. So this is where we're gonna have to shift to. All right, so this is the monthly order block open, and basically we can get a zone with the weekly order block open where we see potential bullishness should price trade lower. So this is a potential level for price to reach for, and this is an upside. So we're going to try to see if price has reached that level uh, via daily time frame. So let's check the daily time frame real quick. So it seems like price is still stalling around this high. Okay, so you're still liquidity resting off that high. So what we could simply do is, since this level falls near this high, simply remove that and simply remove this, as we don't necessarily need to see what price comes off that level. So this is where potential buy side liquidity would be resting. So we're gonna keep buy liquidity. Okay, so buy liquidity resting off that level. And definitely we could look at this level for potential bullishness in the marketplace. And so uh, next thing to reference is IPA ranges. Don't forget your IPA ranges, guys. So we're gonna pull up date range. So draw 20-day, okay, 40-day, and 60-day. So the next thing we want to do is we want to pull up our arrow toolbar and for 20-day, 40-day, and 60-day IPDA range. Okay, so 20-day, 40-day, 60-day IPDA range. So simply do this. All right, so we have a range to reference to the upside. So this is where 60-day rests. So we could simply call that 60 IPDA if that by liquidity resting off that level. And so basically that is what we want to reference. There's nothing more to the upside to reference in terms of IPDA, so you can simply check that out. So obviously trend still looks bullish, but once we tap this level, we could potentially reverse off this level as just a swing low off that level too. Pound US dollar, let's see what pound US dollar is doing. So pound US dollar made a nice little move off this range. If you check back to January's content, so I wanted to see price trade higher before I ended the call as it was getting too long. And so price has done that, but now price is finding difficulty breaking through this range, this small little range on the daily. So we don't necessarily need to go to the monthly as there's nothing else to reference on the monthly to the downside. We know. So this is the range we're going to have to work within. Currently now we're at a very premium level on this range. And so what I want to point your attention to real quick, guys, is that we're broken through this range. It's still a fair value gap that has not been filled here. Fair value gap that still hasn't been filled there on the British pound US dollar. And your sell side liquidity resting off these very clean levels. So we can label this sell liquidity. So liquidity. All right, so sell liquidity rests off that level. Buy sell liquidity rests at the top of this range. So what I'll favor more actually is I'm looking for more buy moves, but remember DXY dictates what I want to see price do. So this is where we're just gonna buy liquidity. So buy liquidity rests off that level. So guys, do not forget your IPA ranges. Go back. Actually, put up your date range. So 20-day, 40-day, 60-day IPDA. Okay, so we're gonna pull up our toolbars to draw up our ranges. Okay, for 20-day IPDA, there's our range. For 40-day IPDA, this is our range. And then for 60-day IPDA, this is our range. Okay, so that is our range for 20-day IPDA, 40-day IPDA, 60-day IPDA. So we can remove this off. Remove this off. And also remove that off our charts. So where's our 20-day IPDA low? Here is our sell side liquidity. We can simply put 20. So 20 stands for 20-day. So 20 sell liquidity. Okay, so about liquidity, we can simply put 60. So this is where the 60 falls in. So simply put 60 for about liquidity. And nothing really to reference. So one more thing, there's actually a swing low. All right, so let's look for a reference point. So there's actually support of this level. So there's support at this level where the market could potentially trade to. Also, this last bear shadow block, the market could want to reach down for its fair, for its main threshold, and to trade higher. So we are gonna draw up our Fibonacci first. And let's see what price actually does. We pull up this to this level here. Okay, so pull up to this level there. Simply clone this. Okay, so perfect. Perfect. So that could be levels in terms of sell side liquidity. So this is also a 20 sell side liquidity. We could reach for to see probably buys unfold in the marketplace. So we're gonna put this here. All right, so now we have our ranges all set, all determined. So now it's actually time to begin to make the decisions. What do you want to see the market do? Okay, so now this is Monday's price action, which is this line. And so we're gonna zoom in on this price to see what price is going to do. So it's very vital for you guys to note that there is sell side liquidity resting at the high of this candle. So I want you guys to pay attention to how slowly the market is gravitating towards the downside. So obviously there's going to be lots of buy side liquidity resting above the marketplace. So this is one buy side liquidity we could put as potential target intra-week. Should price trade into that level. So we put this as buy liquidity. Okay. And so we see the market try to reach for that level. So euro pound, what we want to see the market do is very, very clean level, and the market is close to that level. The market just tested this pretty shadow block. So I feel like for Monday we could get a move into that range. For Monday we could get a move into this point, okay, and trade through that buy side liquidity. And if we trade through that level, then we could potentially reach for this fair value gap. On Euro US dollar, there's still a lot of range to the upside to reach for on Euro US dollar. So if we're looking for a bullish DXY, as if we're going to consider this a total so we're looking for a bullish DXY, that will mean bearish currencies. So you can see your dollar trade lower, and I just want to point your attention to sell a daily sell liquidity via this clean level. So sell side liquidity off that level. So we're going to call this sell liquidity. Perfect. So to make our charts less messy, remove the vertical line to delineate each new week. So we don't necessarily have to miss price. So we know the first candle is actually Monday's candle. So we don't necessarily have to skip highs on this candle. All right, so we're looking for price to trade to the upside as price just tested this level. This is one this candle. Looking for Tuesday. If we could see a potential move higher, okay, as price is showing that via the smaller range, we're reaching for a premium level. Okay, on your dollar, if we're looking for higher prices on DXY, on your dollar, if you're looking for higher prices, then want to see your dollar trade lower, potentially into the sell side liquidity. So we could see something like this: price reach for sell side liquidity, and then British pound US dollar. We could see this. Uh, so now I feel like this is going to be stuck in the range for a while because we're at a very indecisive level. Price is not showing the willingness to trade through, and it's seeming to respect this range. Okay, this fair valuation range. Price seems to respect that range. And price also seems to respect this bearish breaker, bullish breaker actually. So price is in between two institutional reference point. Until price decides to break out of this point, we could be in a range for a while on British pound dollar. So it's very important that you guys know that. And so let's see what price actually does. So euro dollar, we could see bearishness for British pound dollar. I'm really not certain what the market will do, so I'd rather prefer to see more price action before we do something. So my target to the upside on DXY will be this. We're going to consider this a total, so we're going to see price trade higher into this. So let's see if we're actually correct. So price trades higher into that level. Perfect. Look how precisely price gets to our level 100.73. Let's check euro pound. Let's see if we're actually correct in euro pound. Right, so we're very, very wrong on euro pound. Let's begin to analyze why were we wrong on euro pound. What actually happened? As this was a very clean level for price to reference. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull up Fibonacci. Let's find out why were we wrong on this currency. Because this is always what you want to do whenever you miss something. Okay, don't just quit and say, oh, because when you're taking a losing trade, that's actually an opportunity for you to find out why and to know where the market wants to reach for. So the market traded above the midpoint, so we're at premium level. When you see the market take out this buy liquidity and potentially reach for this range, unfortunately we did not, and there's a bearish order block at that level, which is what we missed actually. So we missed that. So if we're actually trading this, that would have been a loss on euro pound. Okay, price traded through. So we were unable to take into consideration this bearish order block. So that is something we can take as a lesson, right? Taking all the ranges into consideration. Obviously, we're doing all this off the daily time frame. If we switch down to a 4 hour or a 1 hour time frame, we could see a clearer picture. Basically, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to build your confidence on the higher time frame first before you begin to go down into 4 hour time frame or the 1 hour time frame. So if you're trading euro pound, this would have been a loss in euro pound. Your dollar wanted to see bearishness. British pound, we're going to see wanted to see out of this. So let's see what euro dollar actually did. Um, all right, so euro dollar met our sell side liquidity as wanted to see. Perfect. British pound, we're staying out of this. British pound for Tuesday's price action. All right, so price traded through and came to our sell liquidity. So it looks like price wants to make a run for the upside. So price seems like it wants to make a run for the upside as he tried to reach this level. So let's see what price actually does next day. And basically for your dollar, uh, now we have a bearish order block to reference in this candle. Okay, we also have a swing low to reference this candle. So what we're gonna do is we could find the mean threshold. Now note that this candle has actually broken out of this bearish order block. So that validates this as a potential bullish order block for a long setup. Until we break this range, we could potentially look for more longs to reach for more buy side liquidity. All right, so So let's find the mean threshold of this candle, or we could potentially reach for. Price has tested that level perfectly. You can also find the top of that bullish order block candle. So you can clone this. And that essentially brings us to the top of this bearish order block candle. So for me personally, price has traded to this level. If we're going to see any upside, we don't necessarily want to see price trade down to the mean threshold, as there has been a reaction of that mean threshold. So if we're going to see any upside, I want to see price trade off the open, as current market price is above the open of this bullish order block. Okay, so if we're going to consider this a turtle soup, they want to see price reach for more buy side liquidity, and essentially, I want you guys to know that okay, so there's buy liquidity. There's also buy side liquidity off this candle. So what we could do is, and also I want you guys to take note that we're reaching for an old low now. We could potentially see resistance of that low to sell down into this point. So currently now we're at a 50-50 point. But what we need to take into consideration basically is if we're considering this a turtle soup, okay, if we're gonna look at this as a turtle soup, that means we're in a very deep discount market. So we're in a very deep discount market and want to look for more sells until we break out of this range. We can look for buys to premium level before we see price sell off once more. So I would favor more upside than the downside. So we met our first target on DXY. Okay, so I think we could neglect this low, potentially neglect that low. Okay, I would make our buy side. So the next target would be off this level to get to on a bullish basis would be that level on DXY. So now Euro pound basically stopped us out. So there's no big deal there. Okay, so now we're through the mean threshold of this candle. So anything in terms of bullishness is eliminated as we've traded through the mean threshold of this bearish candle, which would have been a bullish order block. So what we're gonna do is we wanna clone this, uh, clone this, put this below as just a nice daily rejection block. Now what we can simply do is we can look for a retracement back to our mitigation block right now because we're stopped out of this level, and this level is going to act as a bearish order block. And we look for sells down into this level and potentially even into this level. So let's see what price gives us. So remember, if we're trading off the smaller time frame, we could get clearer picture. But what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to narrow your view to the higher time frames. So once you get into lower time frame analysis, you're getting a full picture of what the market could do based off all these different time frames. Okay, so now we could make a retracement back into this bearish order block and reach down for this rejection block and also reach down for this rejection block. So make sure you take note of that. So if you're looking for a bullish DXY, that could mean potential bearishness on your dollar. But I want you guys to still know that there's massive liquidity resting above this level on your dollar. Okay, so we could let's actually check British pound. So British pound is could still looks like it might be stuck in a range on British pound, and so if we're gonna be stuck in a range on British pound, and there's still more upside to reach for on the euro dollar. So that could mean we could potentially see very bullish euro pound. Let's see what price actually does next. So for euro dollar, we're going to see very bullish DXY. Okay, that could mean that euro dollar would be bearish for the next sell side target, which would be this week. We're gonna put this as a week for our next sell side target. Obviously, we could be wrong, but what we would like to see is this is Monday's price action. Let's use this price action. So let's check the DXY. Monday's price action, Tuesday's price action. So now we're stuck. This is what let's I think we're better stick with the bull move, right? Where at a very deep discount. So let's consider that a turtle soup. But what I'm actually not comfortable with is that your dollar hasn't actually traded into this week, where there could be massive liquidity resting around. So I actually wanted to see price trade into that week, but DXY is suggesting higher prices and that we could potentially take a loss on your dollar, and we have to learn to be comfortable with taking a loss because we know that long term we're going to be profitable. And remember, we're only looking at the market of the higher time frames. So if we actually went out to smaller time frames, you can see a very, very clear picture. But what we're trying to do is to stick with the higher time frames. So euro dollar looking for potential bearishness. We're going to see DXY go higher and euro pound go lower. And the British pound basically could still be stuck in a range. Uh, so I would want to start off this for now until I see something clear. So let's actually see if we're correct, if we're wrong. Fingers crossed. So no real change on DXY. Price basically just stalls around our level. Let's check euro dollar, euro pound actually. All right, so euro pound doesn't really get to a level where we could expect sells. No big deal there. All right, so price opened and basically dropped down and went to a level. So this is actually a bullish day. So open, low, high, close. Okay. So this day would have actually been a no trading day because all I wanted to see for bearish day is open, high, low, close. So there's nothing there to reference in terms of bearishness. Okay, let me clone this actually. So there's gonna be this is actually a buy side liquidity version of this clean candles. Buy side liquidity is resting off that clean candle. So we're gonna put buy liquidity. Okay. So let's see what the market would do. British pound, US dollar. So I'm really not considering this pair. So could right. So DXY currently is in our range, and let's pull up our Fibonacci. So price basically could potentially come into our main threshold. I'm still looking for more bullish prices because I feel we're in a very deep discount level. So I'm still looking for more bullish prices in DXY. So my target is still 101.02. So the next day I'm looking for price to trade higher into 101.02 DXY. Okay, and the British pound. Now we gotta change biases as this was Monday's price action, Tuesday's price action. So potentially this is a very clean level, right? We're reaching very deep discount relative to this range low to this range high. We're reaching a very deep discount, and what we could potentially do for when is this price action is we could trade through this level, find a total soup, and then trade higher into this very clean level because I feel there's going to be massive buy liquidity resting off this level. So we could potentially trade down into this level and see a very bullish move higher if we total soup that level. So in euro dollar now, uh, let's see what could we actually expect in euro dollar. So price has traded through this level where sell liquidity rests. I feel we could be bullish in euro dollar. I feel we could be bullish on euro dollar. Just buy liquidity resting. Okay, so what we just did was we went through a level of liquidity where retail stops would be resting, and this could be a potential total soup. So let's do this. We get the body of this candle to the week, this candle. So retail would not actually want to trade price, trade throw stop losses with the week. That usually is the hedge funds. So I think we got retail stops at this level. We'll see potential higher prices into this level. So that could mean that if we're gonna see a very bullish euro dollar we could see a very potential, very bullish euro pound, and then that doesn't really align with our DXY bias, but that could mean that DXY might not really make a range, okay, even though our target is still the upside. But remember, we don't trade DXY. What we're trading actually is the euro dollar. So this is what I want to see for euro dollar. British pound dollar, no real trade as I feel this could be stuck in a range. So let me actually identify this. The small little range, this is a range high whereby liquidity would rest around that range high. So let's identify buy liquidity around that range high. And we basically just got into sell liquidity range low. There's also a very shallow block of this level. So price, let's see how price reacts to that level. So let's see what the X actually does. Let's play forward. All right, so DXY trades higher like I wanted to see. Euro dollar, sorry, euro pound. That's what euro pound does. So euro pound has basically went through this level now. As I said, wanted to see a total soup either of this level or of this level to see higher prices. Let's see what euro dollar does. Euro dollar could potentially reach for sell side liquidity, but we're still looking for higher prices. So no real change as we're looking for bullishness until price breaks this level. There's really no change in price. The British pound US dollar. Let's see what British pound US dollar actually does. Yeah, so British pound US dollar respects this range, so nothing really in terms of downside. So my target on DXY now is this definitely to the upside. That so it seems like we're very near our target. So this is going to be Friday's move. And euro pound seems like we can get a very explosive range the next day. Okay, I want to see a very explosive range as we just took out this level and can see how compressed this steady candle is. Okay, so we see a very explosive range. Although it could be wrong and see downside, but I would rather prefer to see the upside. So we could trade this as a potential target and see an explosive range all the way up. And that could potentially bring strength to euro dollar. And so what we would like to do is for us to see strength on euro dollar, we want to see price reach for this sell side liquidity first before we could potentially see higher prices on euro dollar to buy. And for euro uh, pound dollar, really we're still stuck in the range, so I don't want to. I'm not going to trade this for now. Let's actually see what we do on the DXY. So look how precisely price taps our level. Price taps our level precisely. Yeah, so let me actually point this out. Look how perfect we are in getting to this level. So that is precision on your daily time frame. Something you're not going to get anywhere else. Only Gene teaches this. Okay? So your pound, let's see what your pound does. If you're correct or if you're wrong on your pound. I'm looking for buy bullish prices as we basically taking this swing low. Okay, so this could be a reclaimed order block. As price gets back to this level, I could see buys. So let's actually see what the market does. Uh, it could be wrong. Like I said, as an institutional trader, you need to accept being wrong in the marketplace. That could happen. So let's see what the market actually does. So no real change in price. Price remains relatively the same. So nothing. This would have been a no trade day, as price didn't really make a real move. Euro dollar, we want to see sell side liquidity right now first before we see any form of buying. So let's see price taps or sell side liquidity first. Um, let's see what price does. All right, so price taps our sell liquidity perfectly. Analysis was on point on euro dollar. So British pound dollar, no real change. Not trading this. Let's see what this actually does. Yeah, more bearishness. All right, so now we're going into the second week of February. Price remains the same. Uh, so what we're gonna do now is We're gonna remove this. As we know, this is the next candle will be Monday's candle. So now price has tapped our buy liquidity, and what we could potentially see is a retracement potentially into this level where our main threshold rests. And also our next target on a buy side liquidity basis would be this level. Excuse me. Remember, we're still at a very deep discount level. Okay, a slightly very deep discount level as price hasn't taken out the swing yet. So what we want to look for in terms of a discount level, okay, would be buys. Okay, until we take out this range, we're gonna look for buys until we get to the midpoint of our range. Okay, so the midpoint of our range would be range high to range low, which is where buy liquidity rests in terms of our midpoint. Okay, so what we could potentially see for Monday, as we're very near this buy liquidities, we see price weak through on Monday and potentially make a retracement down. So let me identify our levels. Zone. And we can potentially make a retracement down to this bullish order block. Okay. Well, overall, I'm still bullish on DXY, but we could potentially make a retracement down. We could see price weak through this level and make a retracement down to see higher prices into buy liquidity. But I believe ultimately we're going to get to this level. Ultimately, Euro pound. So now price is showing that it wants to stall on Euro pound, and price basically went through this level. So on Euro pound, I'm still very bullish. I'm so much bullish on Euro pound, so much bullish, and Euro dollar. Remember, we want to see price get to sell side liquidity. We've tapped sell side liquidity perfectly, so we could potentially see price trade higher into buy liquidity. So let me actually remove this. No, this is going to be Monday's has a candle. So we could potentially see price trade higher into buy liquidity, and British pound dollar could see price also just remain in this range. I don't want to see price really do anything. And so some of you guys might be asking, Jim, why are you not using the IPDA ranges? Well, you don't necessarily need to use IPDA ranges because you know where your price points are. You know what to reference in terms of price action, right? So you don't necessarily need to keep putting your IPDA ranges every single time. To see price make a drastic move, or if something changes in the market, then you can pull up your IPDA ranges. But you know where price is going to reach for in terms of a um, the last 20 days, the last 40 days, and the last 60 days. So for just for the purpose of this video, we could just do this. Okay, 20-day IPDA, 40-day IPDA, 50-day IPDA, or 60 actually. So this is a 20-day IPDA. Okay, 20-day IPDA high, IPDA low, the small little range, 40-day IPDA high, and this is going to be a 60-day IPDA. So you could actually change this to 60. All right, so same thing goes for euro dollar. Simply move this here, simply move this here, move this here, and that is what you're going to reference. 20-day IPDA high rests around that level. Obviously, 60 days to rest around this level. A British pound dollar, the same thing, the same scenario. It's showing the okay, so just still 20-day lows to reference. Now this is actually outside of the 20 days, so we're gonna make this 40-day as that low now falls on the 40-day IPDA range. Then there's obviously a fair value gap below the marketplace, so it'll be interesting to see what the market does. So for the DXY, what we potentially our target is to the upside, so we potentially want to see a retracement down before we trade higher. For euro pound, we want to see some form of bullishness in the marketplace. For euro dollar, we want to see bullishness, and for British pound dollar, we basically are going to see all of this until the market shows us something clearer. So now let's see what the market actually does. Okay, so the market opens, trades down to a level, which is a bullish order block open. Okay, so that is actually nice. Euro pound. Let's see, we're correct or wrong on this. So this would have been a stop loss, a stop hit on euro pound. Okay, if we're looking for bullishness, obviously from the previous week, this would have been stops hit on euro pound. So it seems like price does not want to get up. So that would have been twice we took a loss on euro pound, and that is acceptable. Okay, obviously we're not looking at smaller time frame, but this is actually acceptable, right? Because from there you can then learn why you were wrong. Okay, basically. So obviously there was too massive of liquidity at this level, especially these two swing lows for price, and the price was trying to seek that liquidity first. So we took a loss, or we would have taken a loss. We were trading that week on your pound. Euro dollar, basically, we're looking for bullishness on euro dollar on Monday. And so if we're looking for bullishness on euro dollar on Monday, price actually could have traded down into this level. So we could be wrong, or we would have been wrong on euro dollar. As price would trade very, very bearish. Yeah, so not real, no real price movement on euro dollar. That is fine. That's actually fine. So British pound dollar, no real changes. We're not trading this. Yeah, so no real changes on British pound dollar. And DXY. So for DXY now, we want to see price reach for the upside, which is our buy liquidity. So that would mean that we want to see a breakout of this level into our buy liquidity. So we want to see very, very bullish DXY. That would mean that we could see euro dollar trade into our monthly slash weekly bullish order block. Remember, we made this gap from monthly slash weekly bullish order block. So we could see euro dollar trade into this level for potential discount. Okay, remember we're in a deep discount now. We're getting into deep discount inside of this range low to range high. We just broke the midpoint of that range. We're getting into a discount. Okay, so we could get into this discount, and then for a sell side target, I could see this price reach for this level. So potentially, right, this is Monday's price action. So we could get a Tuesday low of the week once price subs this level. And so for the DXY, we could see price trade into our buy liquidity and then quickly pull back down. Right. So and if euro dollar trade into this region, we could take a potential swing trade. Now we're going to have a swing trade on our hands because we know our target would be this buy liquidity, and that could present us a range of about 284 pips the upside. For British pound US dollar, we don't really want to see price or anything. So I'm going to stay out of that. For euro pound, price just traded through our sell liquidity. I'd rather prefer we stay out of this until we see something clearer in the market. But currently now we've tapped sell liquidity. We have buy liquidity above the marketplace. So it'll be interesting to see what price does. Let's go to the DXY. Let's see what DXY actually does. Okay, so price breaks out of the level as we anticipated. Euro pound, let's see what euro pound does. Euro pound shows resistance off this level. That's what euro dollar does. We're looking for price to get into deep discount. Okay, euro dollar, pound dollars. Let's see what pound dollar does. Okay, so back to DXY. This is Monday's candlestick, Tuesday's candlestick. So it seems like we're creating a Wednesday's high of the week for bearishness for on the DXY. Okay, remember now we're getting to premium level. So it seems like we're creating Wednesday's high of the week for bearishness on DXY. And euro pound, what is actually going on? All right, so euro pound, currently we're getting into deep discount level on euro pound. And it seems like we want to reach for sell side liquidity below the marketplace. I'll just extend this out in case we reach for that. But currently outside of euro pound. Okay. So for euro dollar now, I want to see price trade down into this level and trade higher. So our setup for the week would be a buy move if we wanted to trade this week. And for British pound dollar, I still feel like we're gonna be stuck in the range for a while. So I'm not actually gonna trade this. So let's see what DX actually does. Let's do this. All right, so we tap a level perfectly, and we've made a very wonderful rejection of that level for the eye of the week potential. Eye of the week. Your pound, not showing any real movement. Your dollar, want to see price tap that level. Let's see how precise were we. Yeah, so look how precise we were in our bullish move of the week. Price taps the level perfectly. Boom. It's a British pound dollar. We're actually not trading this as I feel like we're gonna be in a range for a while. So instead of this, perfect. Euro dollar. Now let's see. Let's see. Euro dollar still. No, I'm still gonna leave. Sorry, euro pound. I'm still gonna leave this. DXY. So now we've gotten our high of the week. The next thing we need to do is we need to find our sell side target that price could reach for. So there's sell liquidity in form of this candlestick. Sell liquidity. Sell liquidity of that level. Okay. So sell liquidity of that level. We got our level precisely. So no need of this level. Sell liquidity of that level. Okay. So our first target obviously to the downside will be this support level, and then next level would be this support level. All right, as downside targets on the DXY. Euro pound, we're leaving this, we're staying out of this, as I can't really say anything in the market currently. Euro dollar, we're looking for bullish move. Pound dollar, we're not trading that. So let's see what the DX actually does. All right, so we've met our first target on the sell side. This is actually Thursday's candlestick. Euro pound, we're staying out of this. Yeah, straight out of this euro pound. Euro dollar, looking for bullish move on euro dollar. Yeah, precisely. So currently, since we're looking at this level six buy move, that would have been a sniper entry for euro dollar, and we would have been up 152 pips. Pound dollar. So we're seeing out of this. Look how choppy the market. Look how precise we're getting this market conditions. So predicted a range before, and we're actually getting a range. Now, the reason why I said we wanted to see a range is because the market is stuck between two tight reference points, this level and this level. Until the market breaks out of this zone, we're going to be in a range for a very, very, very long while. Okay, so so for the DXY, my final downside target would be this, sell liquidity on DXY. Okay, so that would be my final downside target, as we're still going to be swinging positions from this level. Um, okay, and on euro pound, looks like price is going up to this level, but this is a Friday, so we don't necessarily have to trade euro pound. Euro dollar, we're gonna hold our swing, and the level for potential first take profiting would be this level, 20-day IPD high, resting of that level. So when I see price as a target reach for that level, so buy liquidity resting of that level. So potential target in price. Okay, so that is where we could look for bullishness to come in the marketplace. And the euro pound, so let's see DXY. So I want to see bearish DXY. Let's see what DXY actually does. So the dollar, we have a target, which is this target. Okay, so let's see what this actually does. So price stalls around this level. No big deal. Still swinging trades from euro dollar. So I saw euro pound does. Doji actually. Euro dollar. Target obviously was this upside, so let's see if we could get to this level that week. So we are actually at the bearish candle. Okay, so we had a bearish candle in your dollar. No big deal. You're still holding swing positions off this level. Right, so still swinging positions off this level. Let's see. All right, so we're still swinging positions off this level. Still buy liquidity resting around that level. But obviously, you're gonna want to take some profits on a short-term basis. Okay, so remember we're using daily time frame. So basically, we're trying to find levels on the daily time frame. So sometimes you might not necessarily see some things as you just saw on the market time frame. But what I'm trying to show you is that actually use the market time frames to predict moves intra week via the daily time frames. So British pound dollar, we're still stuck in the range, and we're gonna leave that out. Okay, so now we're getting into the next week on DXY. So this is a new week. We'll remove this. New week. Remove this. New week. Remove this. New week. Remove this. So this is gonna be our second week of third week actually. This will be our third week of February. So we're gonna trade this. Let's see what the market does. Let's see what the market does. So the market shows signs that it wants to trade higher as it is respecting the spiritual work. So potentially the market could reach higher. You still sell liquidity to this side, so it's important to take note. But still buy liquidity resting above this week. On Euro Pound, let's see what price is doing on Euro Pound. So Euro Pound is kind of like equals off this level, so we could potentially see bearishness of the but unfortunately, I don't really like the way we're stuck in this range. So let me actually check the 4-hour time frame. I don't necessarily like this very clean levels. This clean levels, I don't really like this. And there's very clean levels, and the market could potentially trade into that level whereby liquidity reverse. Obviously, we could see bearishness of this level to take out clean lows, but I'd rather prefer we stay out of this market, even though we could potentially see bearishness. I'd rather prefer we stay out of this market, and then euro dollar. So we've actually seen Monday's price action, very thin price action euro dollar. I felt we just went to a discount level, and we're just going to a discount level. We want to potentially see higher prices on euro dollar, but that would actually conflict with what we want to see on DXY. So there's still liquidity on DXY, support here on DXY. So remember Mondays, we don't necessarily have to trade on Mondays, so we're gonna stay out of the market. So let's see what DXY actually does. So very thin price action. Your pound. All right, so we got bearishness of this level, but remember we did not get into this trade as this is not something we don't like to trade middle of ranges. Okay, you could scalp, okay, but now this lesson is not about scalping. This lesson is more about higher time frames. Right. So our approach to the market with higher time frame approach is not suited for this kind of trading. Obviously, there's different ways you can basically go into smaller time frames. You can use that to take trades by scalping or day trading. But what we're trying to do now is we're trying to narrow your attention to the higher time frames, basically. So we're going to ignore this. And the euro dollar, we've basically seen what Monday's price action was. Um, British pound dollar. Still, we are in a very tight range. So no real price movement. DXY now. Let's see what DXY wants to do going into Tuesday, as Monday's price action was not really decisive enough. All right, so we've traded into buy liquidity once more. Seems like we want to keep going higher into DXY. on DXY. Sorry, so want to keep going higher, and Euro pound not trading this. We're going to see out of the market, please. Euro pound. We traded down bearishness. We still would not have taken this trade, even though we wanted to see bearishness. But because we're at the middle of the range, so necessarily we don't want to see price. We don't want to take trades when price is at the middle of the range. Euro dollar, let's see what euro dollar actually does. See bearishness on euro dollar. We're not trading yet. So euro dollar bearishness all the way back down. British pound US dollar range still in the range bound market. All right, so DXY, since we're getting back to premium level, there's still buy liquidity at the top of this week. Okay, so let's see what the market does. So for Wednesday, we're actually not going to want to take trades as we currently have no real bias on the DXY. So there's still sell liquidity off this level. There's buy liquidity off that level. So let's actually see what the market wants to do before we take trades. So we're not actually trying to predict price. We're trying to utilize the information that the candlesticks are giving us to know what price could potentially do next. So DXY, let's see what DXY actually does. DXY reaches this level. Okay, Euro pound. Let's see what Euro pound does. So we've taken out the sell side liquidity. Obviously, we're in a very bearish market zone. So the next sell liquidity would be this level. So that would be the next sell side liquidity. So potentially reach this level. Euro dollar. There's still liquidity below this level, and there's an order block. There's a bullish order block. Let me actually remove this, as that is not needed. This is not needed. So there's a bullish daily order block inside of this level. So we could see this as potential sell side target. And British pound dollar, basically this would still form a range, so we're not really interested in trading this. So let's see what the DXY actually does. So price, I want to see price before I look for any bearishness in price. I want to see price take out the body of this week. Okay, so once price is able to take out that week's, sorry, not body of the week, sorry, the candlesticks week. Okay, so once price is able to effectively take out the buy liquidity resting at that candlesticks week, then we could see sales come into the marketplace. And if sales come into the marketplace, then basically we want to see euro dollar take out this last week before we look for buys. British pound dollar remains stuck in a range. Okay, so let's see what the market actually does. Okay, so the market shows like it wants to keep going down. So the market did not really give us a criteria to trade. So uh, let's see what euro dollar actually does if it met that criteria. Okay, so price went back up this level. Remember, we're still not trading euro pound, only trying to just find the institutional order flow, which is actually bearish, which is definitely bearish, as price keeps respecting the bearish order block and keeps breaking through the bullish order blocks. Okay, so euro dollar, let's see what euro dollar actually does. So euro dollar taps a level precisely. British pound dollar, nothing really to reference. Range. Okay, so now DXY, we're still indecisive on DXY. I still want to see price reach for this buy liquidity before we trade lower. And so I'm gonna basically this week would have been a week where we didn't really take any trades. We could scalp. We could do day trading definitely. Okay, trading would definitely be on the cards. But using higher time frame analysis, we would have stayed out of the market on this week. And euro pound, we're not necessarily trying to trade euro pound, only following institutional order flow euro pound. Okay, so this week would have been a no trade week in terms of swing targets, and British pound dollar still stuck in the range. That's what market actually does. Okay, so DXY now. Uh, so now we're getting to our last week of February. So the third week of February, we actually took no trade. The second week of February, we took a loss on Euro Pound, two losses on Euro Pound actually. But we on the Euro Dollar, we were profitable. Euro Dollar, British Pound Dollar, we basically set out of British Pound Dollar. All right, so let me play this out. I think this is the last. So let's take this. And also for the first week of the month of February, we were very, very profitable. As we call the buys on the sales, sorry, sales or buys. Yeah, so we call the sales near dollar as indicated by the DXY. Okay, so we call the sales near dollar and we're profitable. So far so good. February utilizing only the daily time frame, sorry, we've been relatively profitable. So let's see what the DXY wants to do next. Seems like DXY wants to reach for this level. So this is actually, let me check. This is Thursday's price action, I think. So let's check if this is Thursday's price action of 2017. This is February 24th. So this is actually Friday's price action. So now we're looking forward to a new week, which is Monday, 24th. Let's see. I need to play one more to get to 24th. Okay, so uh, with this here, right here is there, right here is there. So remove this because we don't necessarily need this. Same as this, necessarily need this. So we can just simply move our ranges to our price point. Okay, so move our ranges to this price point. I think one more final week. In fourth, the dollar. Okay, so we could remove this. On British pound dollar, we could remove this definitely. Okay, so now DXY, final week of February going to March. So currently institutional order flow is bullish. Like I mentioned, we're in a discount price point and I want to see higher prices. So it seems like this DXY is respecting this level. And our target is to the upside. We're looking for buy liquidity to be taken out or to be run out the upside basis. And Euro pound, we're looking for downside as institutional order flow is bearish. Euro dollar, um, there's still buy liquidity left in the marketplace. And we're now at a very, very deep discount level. As we're currently at a very deep discount level, we could see potential buys coming to the marketplace in Euro dollar. Okay, as we're at a very deep discount level. Also in Euro pound, so now institutional order flow is bullish, but also it is vital for us to note that we're at a very, very deep discount level. And this market basically consolidating around this level could mean that we're ready to make a turn around from that level and trade potentially higher. So you could see higher prices on Euro pound as if we consider this range, we're going to consider this range high, this range low. We are at a very deep discount level in terms of order block. So we could see a potential reversal around this level. So let's see what the market actually does. Okay, and Euro dollar, we're at a very deep discount level too, relative to this range. So we want to start to look for buys of this level. British pound basically remains the same. So let's actually see what DXY does. Um, So I want to see buy side liquidity right now before it gets sell side liquidity. But as we're very, very near this level and we're basically taking out the main threshold of this level, so I think we could reach for sell side liquidity first. before any buy side. Let's actually see what the market does. Okay, so currently now we're in a 50-50 proposition. So I'd rather wait to see what the market does first before we make any decision. So let's see Monday's price action. Monday's price action, no real difference. Monday's price action for euro pound. Yeah, bullishness. So we're actually correct on this analysis. Bullishness on euro pound. Euro dollar. Let's see what euro dollar actually does. So no real change in euro dollar. British pound, same range. So what I say out of this. Okay, so for Tuesday, let's see what DXY does. Still a 50-50 proposition. DXY is showing signs that he wants to look for the buy side liquidity. Euro pound, like I said, this consolidation of this level tells me that this is a total soup, and also we're at a discount level. So that means we could begin to attack all this buy side liquidity in the marketplace. So let's see what the market actually does. Okay. Also, it is very, very vital for you to take note of this bearish order block. But basically, what this three candles did around this point tells me that we could see upside, potential upside movement. So let's see what the DXY actually does. So Monday, Tuesday, no real movement in price basically. And now we've tapped our buy side liquidity like we wanted to see at the start of the week. So now that we've tapped that buy side liquidity, we could look for potential bearishness down to clear out all this liquidity in the marketplace. As we traded through our buy side liquidity, the next level to reference in terms of buy side would be this level where we have seen highs around that level. But as we've taken out this level now, I want to see price trade down to sell side liquidity before potentially even reach for this level. Oftentimes we're seeing a move higher. You want to see retracement down first before you see another leg in price. And then euro pound, I'm still looking for euro pound to trade higher. And for euro dollar, I want to see euro dollar trade higher into buy side liquidity. I still think we could be in a range with pound dollar. So let's see what DXY does. Let's see. All right, so DXY basically trades up into buy liquidity on the upside. No big deal. No real movement in price. Euro dollar. That's what euro dollar actually does. Trades higher too, and we've basically reached buy side liquidity in terms of rejection block in this basis. Euro dollar, we still positioned ourselves for buys off this level. So until the market takes out our buy position of this level, we're still bullish. So no real change in price. Price just keeps going slowly. So let's see what pound US dollar does. Trades down. Okay, so DXY, now we've tapped this level. I feel definitely that we're gonna see sales of this level. Oh, I think I'm actually. This is the 2nd of March. This 28th. I think we're one leg behind the price. Okay, yeah. So this is 1st of March. Let's see. Oh, I think we lagged behind, and this 21st, 2nd of March. Okay, so 2nd of March we reached this level. Euro pound. Let's see what euro pound does. I think we're still lagging behind euro pound. So I think we're actually sped up on DXY. We're actually sped up on DXY. So this is the 1st of March. Okay, so this is actually 2nd of March. On British pound dollar, we're very, very sped up on DXY. We're very, very sped up on DXY. So now British pound dollar has reached our sell side liquidity for the 1st of March and our 40-day sell side liquidity. Okay, so now that we've tapped this level, I'm looking for massive bearishness down So remember, all along this range, we weren't really looking for trades, except for euro dollar where we positioned ourselves for buys. I'm still thinking, I still feel we could trade higher from this level. As long as we maintain this level, I'm looking for buys. If we break this level, then sells. So euro pound, we're actually correct in our analysis where we're looking for buys in euro pound. So that is nice. British pound dollar. So price has finally broken out of this range, and looks like price wants to reach for this fair value gap below. So let's actually see what market does. So let's see what DXY does. Um, right. So we're correct now bearish analysis for Friday, the final week of February. Okay. British pound. So euro pound, we've achieved a buy target of this level, buy target of this level. So that is actually nice. Euro dollar, we're looking for bullish prices on euro dollar, and the bullish price exactly. British pound, no real change. We're leaving this. Okay, so perfect. That brings us to the end of February's content. I'll see you guys next time when I cover March content. And with that being said, wish you guys good trading. I'll see you guys next time.